Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's show. I could not be more thrilled to be joined by two SpotMe customers today, and they have promised me their honest answers to my questions, and they're going to give us their experience, not only with virtual, but of course with SpotMe. So if you're watching live, get your questions ready. This is your chance to ask current SpotMe customers anything you would like. So get ready. Okay. So before we start, last week I did mention that dark mode was about to be released. It is now officially released in beta mode. If you are interested in launching this, speak to your SpotMe rep and get yourself signed up and live with that beta mode. It looks really nice. You can see it on the weekly show if you're in our platform and you've registered. You can see what dark mode looks like. If you want more information, head to the knowledge base. Literally support.spotme.com, and the best bet is just to search for dark mode. I think it's the first article. I'm pretty sure it's the first article that comes up. What the team have done to make that even easier, you remember last week I told you if you're using dark mode and you're switching that out, you have to think about the icons. So the team have put together some great icons, some great stuff you can use already if you are switching to dark mode without you having to do that lift yourselves. So it's out there. Speak to your SpotMe rep and get on the knowledge base if you want more information yourself. I did include the link in the show notes, so check that out. Now, with it being launched, I did just want to show you where that is because I couldn't show you last week, but now I can. So let me just share my screen with you. Okay, wrong screen. Too many screens open. Here we go. Let's try that again. So I'm going to show you exactly where to find dark mode and the button to kind of switch between light and dark mode. So when you land in your workspace or your campaign, you land on the dashboard, right? Well, for dark mode, you're going to want to hit Design. You want to go to your theme editor. And right on this page here, if I just scroll down, I can see my theme. There's a new box called Appearance right at the bottom. So there you go. There's one of the notes that we need to know. It only works for web. So just know that if you have both a web and a mobile app for the same experience, then it's likely only going to work on web. Okay, just note that. And then if I click on Appearance, I get a choice between light and dark mode. Now, when I do this and I switch between, so right now we're on the weekly show, and right now it's dark, right? But when I do this for real, and if I was to do it now, hit one of those and press save, it would take a couple of minutes to refresh. Don't be alarmed if you're in there and you refresh and it hasn't worked. Give it a couple of minutes and the system will refresh for you. So that is dark mode. It's live now. If you didn't catch our email newsletter, head to the knowledge base. It's in beta. If you want to sign up, speak to your SpotMe rep. Okay. So, on with the show. I said it before, I couldn't be more thrilled to be joined by two of our SpotMe customers this week. They're from Corporate Jet Investor. They have a truly amazing global audience that they've been building for years and years. They're absolutely rocking it. And I know that they are as excited to tell us about their experience with virtual and SpotMe. So, welcome to the show, Louisa and Alasdair.
Hi.
Hi, Tom. It's nice to know we're rocking it. It doesn't feel like it.
Well, I think you guys are. I mean, you're going from strength to strength, and I'm glad we could be a small part of helping you do that. But what was that like, right? I mean, the crisis hit. We're just talking about the crisis in the UK and the US before we were live on air. But the crisis hit back in, I guess, February, March. What was that initial period like? How did you get from reacting to that to then deciding that just virtual, let alone SpotMe or anything else, but virtual was the right? What was that journey like for you?
I think initially we had no idea what to do, so we paused for a bit, and we just stayed in contact with our customers and talked to them and got them to give us just basically stayed in contact with people as much as we could.
Yeah.
And then we launched a series of town hall events once a week that was bringing our customers together, and those were really, really popular. And I mean, people were just, it's an industry of extroverts, and we brought people together, and it was like they were suddenly had a platform to communicate again and to interact in whatever with everybody, and also we could provide them with sort of news updates and things as well, and insights from people in the industry. So that those worked really well. And then kind of the next step then was, because that was so well received, we then decided to launch a full virtual event.
That's nice. What is that time frame like then, from that pause to launching those initial events and then realizing that you then had to level up and then extend to virtual? What is that happening over weeks? Is that months?
Weeks. So I think we started working actively kind of just before the beginning of May, and then we ran our first virtual event in July. Okay,
nice. What was good, and I guess what was the trigger point to realizing that you needed a better, I'm putting words in your mouth maybe, but a more elevated experience? What was the gap that you were finding in those initial events?
I think one of the things we found with the town halls is they're very simple. It's a very easy software, but people wanted more. They wanted networking. Although not everyone wants to network. We find maybe 30% actively do it, and it's the same people loved it again and again. And then and the other thing we did is we had existing conferences, and we took the sponsors and said, look, who knows when we're going to be able to run an event in Singapore or Dubai or Miami. Let's do a global event. We did one day, 12 hours, 3 streams. It was ridiculous in July, and that was our first virtual event with SpotMe.
Yeah,
our first full conference.
Yeah, and I know you've had a couple more since, so we'll talk about that in a second. One of the questions, we have a few questions from our audience, but I just want to bring us up to the SpotMe level. So what was it like? Okay, so you've decided you need another tool to run an enhanced virtual experience. I know SpotMe wasn't your first tool that you chose, but what was that like deciding? Because there's a ton of tools out there, right? How do you go from like the hundreds of tools to choose from to like the few that you're trying to decide between?
It was really hard because there are all of the platforms have got something, just one extra thing that the other one doesn't have as well. So we worked through loads of them, we demoed loads of them, and I think we needed one that was kind of a premium product that was all in one place. And then we also quite liked having the support from your team as well was helpful.
I think the other thing we found, there are hundreds. We actually launched without making a full. We actually started selling sponsorship. We have paid delegates and paid sponsorship for all our events, and we actually started selling sponsorship before we decided. We actually thought you don't need to make the tech choice, the platform choice first. I think we think you can go out and convince people, and then try and find something which roughly matches what you promised them.
I'd really like that, because really, as long as there is so much tech out there to choose from, you really do have to sell the event first. I like that approach, because the likelihood is you can find something to match what you need. Quite frankly.
And it also gives you an idea to budget. And SpotMe isn't the cheapest, but we were spending 100,000 on 5-star hotels. So we didn't want, and our sponsors are used to everything running smoothly, and so we wanted something which was wouldn't let us down, let us down, or more importantly, let our customers down.
So so SpotMe wasn't the first choice, and we're not going to name names on the show. It's really not important at this point. But what was the difference between what you started out with and why you chose SpotMe?
What we started out with we had to plug in a whole lot of different things to make it work. So it was just too. We were running, and the first event we did had multiple streams. It had 140 speakers. It had 850 people on the platform. We needed something where we weren't also trying to plug in a networking function or whatever on the day. We needed it just to work.
Yeah, and we live streamed for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mammoth effort. It reminds me whenever you speak of this, it reminds me of the Le Mans 24 or something. Where you're just
we'll never repeat it again.
Fair enough. So that was your first event. What about the second and third? Like, what was the experience working with SpotMe like for the first event, technology and team, and then how did that evolve to the second and third events?
So the first event was just mammoth. And we had a very small team at the time. We probably had 5 people working on the event. We had 2, not including the sponsorship salespeople, but we had probably had 5 people full time on it, and that includes marketing as well. So and the support was fantastic. Christina, who worked on that one, I think she hated us. I think SpotMe hated us by the end because we had 3 channels, 3 streams, all looked like they were live. And you could switch between them at any point during the 24 hours with networking as well. And one of the really cool things is we signed up, we were promised that you'd have networking, and you did deliver it in July, ready for us.
Just in time.
Which was great, and people loved it. And it was a real buzz with that first conference. And we did have people who sat, we started at 3 p.m. Hong Kong time and went on to 3 p.m. New York. And we had people who stayed for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is incredible, unbelievable. And so we love that. We loved it. And I think in the 36 hours, we had maybe 30 seconds where we had a slight delay or slight issue. And the other thing is you never know really whether it's, and I think that's one of the really interesting virtual events is things go wrong. And usually the phrase we've learned is picnic. It's the problem in computer, problem in chair, not in computer, where it's when someone goes, but it worked for me in the demo, but you know what, that was on my wife's computer, or I did that in the office and now I'm at home, and you're like,
dang, yeah. What was the issue then? It was a 30-second delay.
I can't even remember now, and it wasn't a major one. Okay,
that's good to hear. What then? How do you compare your second and third event? Were you getting less support, more support? Well, how did you feel about the technology come second and third?
We knew what we wanted from it. We understood what we wanted from it. So we've been tweaking it every time we do it. We're actually changing how we use it a bit to try and get more out of it. And we've definitely learned what works with a virtual event, what doesn't. So we're changing it each time a bit, and trying to also differentiate between the events as well. So we're changing how we word things,
Okay, nice. I like it. Let's go to some of the questions from the audience. The first question coming in is, have you experienced any issues with people being unable to access the SpotMe platform, primarily due to internal firewalls, etc.? It goes on to say that most of their clients are financial institutions, and they're concerned that SpotMe may not be whitelisted for them. Have you had issues with people accessing the platform?
You can tell them one you always have, which is mobile.
Oh, yeah, we have people. We have a lot of people saying they can't get on to the networking because they're trying to access it on their mobile, which is just.
And it's usually the same person, and you're like, "We've told you."
But we've had 1 or 2 companies that haven't been able to, and they had to use a different email address or something, or different Zoom login to do it. Who is that? And
then we have a lot of financial institutions as well, though. And
most get on, but we've had 1 or 2 who haven't, I think.
Yeah, and I know for a fact the SpotMe team is very good at working with customers to try and smooth out some of that process through different ways for people to log on. What made you? Another question was, what made you select SpotMe? Now, for this question, I want to hone in on a point you mentioned, Louisa. I think it was you, where you talked about pre-pandemic, right? You're throwing these premium events at 5-star hotels. Is that somewhat influenced your decision to choose SpotMe or the technology?
Yes, because I think initially when we started, we were on a different platform that was significantly cheaper, but it wasn't. I didn't have confidence in it that it was sort of bomb-proof for the day. So we needed it to be. We had quite a lot of sort of sponsors had committed to the event, and so we needed to be able to deliver what we said we were going to deliver, basically. Yeah, that makes sense. There's another question coming in around
how do you use the networking? I find that not having the option to have casual one-on-one video chat makes networking on the day less smooth than I'd like. It's coming in from Maria. So how are you guys running your networking? What's working for you? What isn't working for you? And I guess how are you using the SpotMe platform?
Two things. We've gone shorter on the networking. So we found that half an hour was quite long for an unstructured networking room. And we also do two types of networking. We have one which is just general networking. So people can join and just chat with anybody. It's very, it's random. And then we have hosted networking rooms, which are like champagne roundtables. So we have a host for the room it's often following on from a previous session. So it'll be the moderator will then go on and talk about and generate discussion around issues, and people can join that and participate and continue the debate from whatever the previous session was. Yeah. And we found that's quite popular. It works very well. I like that. I really like the link between a session or a topic that's happening and then breaking that out into the champagne round table. That's awesome. I think that's it for the crowd questions for now. We've gone through your 3 events. Okay, so you're sitting down for your first event and even the second and third, right? And you're setting some sort of success goal in your mind on paper, whatever that may be. Did you meet your goals? What were the goals versus the outcomes? Did you get there? Did you get where you wanted to be?
I think one of the ones we've always looked at is customer satisfaction, and that's been really high. I think for the first event, it was like 4.8 out of 5. Wow. I think 65% gave it 5%, 5 out of 5. Yeah. So that for us is great. Sponsor satisfaction matters to us. We're not great believers in the virtual booths. Sponsors like having some collateral on there, but they also tend to have a thought leadership role. Okay. And then also, obviously, we look at revenue and I guess the one thing we're finding is that it's harder to get. Our conferences. Lou and I have been doing conferences for about 20 years, and our last company, we did a lot around the world, and we probably found that most sessions you'd have half the people out there in chatting. Yeah. With our ones, since we launched, we've got there's less choice. We tend to have probably 80% in the room, and we're not getting that virtually. I think everyone's only one email away from being distracted, aren't they?
It's so true. Are you fighting that in any way? Are you putting purposeful distractions in your experiences, or are you just embracing it?
I think we're less. If they want to watch on demand, that's great. Yeah. And we're not, and right. I watch a lot of these things usually on demand, when you're washing up or.
I think also our audience is very global, so it's fine if they're in Singapore, but they don't have to get up in the middle of the night to watch something. So some people do watch things on demand. Or having said that, lots of people still join. A surprising number of people wake up at ungodly hours to watch. So.
I think that's testament to the audience you've built up and the trust and so kudos to you guys.
Lack of other options.
No, I'm sure it isn't. When you talked about sponsors and how are you making that successful? What is the value prop that you're offering them without giving too much away of your secret sauce? But I know a lot of people are at that crossroads, whether they try, whether they don't, whether they're having success or not. How's it working for you?
I think we try to give the sponsors a campaign across rather than it's not a physical event or an in-person event. It's a campaign. So we try to give them value throughout the whole process, and we do a lot of social media posting. We reshare their videos. We try to just push out their message and their brand as much as possible around the event and on the platform. Obviously, we can't. We do sponsored networking breaks and things, but it's never going to be the same as a cocktail sponsoring a cocktail party. So we try to provide value in other ways by pushing out write-ups, pushing out the videos. Nice. We've got a huge network, so we share it. We share all the material a lot.
That's awesome. It's great. Okay, so what advice, lessons do you have for other people, maybe they're considering SpotMe, maybe they're not, maybe they're just considering doing virtual, right? Or maybe they just trying to level up their games. What advice do you have for people?
Go short on everything. So short sessions, because we find we've cut. We normally do sort of a TED style 20-minute sessions at our in-person events. We've sort of cut that back and gone shorter, and our panels are shorter because we don't think that people, because of that distraction factor, and we work quite well with a lot with our sponsors, encouraging them to try and make their content watchable and fun. So quite a few of our speakers and sponsors will do fun videos or thought leadership, or something that's really that people need to watch.
A lot of interviews as well. We're doing a lot of Q&A rather than solo presentations, like this.
So chat show style,
chat show style. And we find live actually works better because then the audience can ask questions.
That's nice. Have you used things like gamification at all? And if so, how are you using that?
We use it, so our sponsors provide the prizes, and then we allow people, we do it on touch points throughout the platform. Some people take it really, really seriously, surprisingly seriously, so that, to the point where they'll go, you said I got a point for this, and it's that I haven't got my point. So people take it very seriously. So that's quite fun, and it's a nice extra thing for them to get involved in. So we use that. We're using matchmaking at our next event. I don't know yet about how that's going to work.
Okay, cool. Well, fingers crossed it works. We had another couple of questions coming in from Shay. The first one is, I see you can send claps. Can you send other reactions? It is just claps for now, as far as I'm aware. I think that's right, guys. You're just using
Yeah.
Do you use the claps at all in your event? Okay. Yeah. Is that working for you? Do you find it useful, or is it just a nice to have?
I think it's a nice to have. I think anything that makes people feel interactive.
Yeah.
Moderating chat's good if you've got a close audience. We get a lot of stuff where you're sort of a bit like, or that's too personal. But we also if someone says something, joking, we let that go up.
Yeah, makes sense. The other question is there polling? Have you guys been using polling? I know it's going to be available in our new studio package, which is coming out, which is going to be awesome. It's going to be integrated. Have you guys used polling?
Yeah.
Working well? Yeah, I think because you have a 30-second delay when you're doing it live, it's harder. But we've used it and it works. I think people love it. At our physical events, we did a lot of polling. We did a lot of polling. And it does, if people enjoy it, and I think anything you can do to make it more interactive works.
Yeah,
that makes sense. It will be included in our new package. I'm just reading down some more questions. Hearing that it was a popular option is great. How do you find? Have you guys used the reporting in the platform at all? And if so, how are you using that on the back end?
Yeah.
So the reporting is probably something we're a little bit disappointed with. It would be nice to have more. And I know you've got the problem with cookies and people ticking on it. It reminds me a bit of when we went from magazine publishing to websites, and we thought we were going to get everything, and then you suddenly realise you don't get that as much as you thought.
As you think.
And it would be lovely to see who'd switched on here, who'd watched that, and we don't get that level of granularity yet, do we?
No. You can have it by session, you can have it by participant, but mixing the two is somewhat of a limitation. How are you using the reporting then? What level of granularity are you getting to, and what are you doing with the data?
We're tending to use it as just a general who saw what session, what did they look at. I don't know if we've yet had any, I think everyone's going through discussions now. Do you do 2 days? Do you do 3 days? Do you do one afternoon a month? Yeah. And we don't have that level of data. The one interesting thing we found on our first one, and it may have been because of functionality, is we found that live had a much longer engagement. People typically spent almost twice as long watching a live session as they did a pre-recorded, on-demand one, which is interesting. And I think it's because they can ask questions and chat.
Interact,
we see that on the weekly show, and I feel like if you're on demand, the tendency might be, well, certainly with this format, right? Because I have 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning. Tendency, I think, is that people just fast forward to what they want and they go through it. Maybe that's just me, but
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, that's quite possible.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, that's great. Okay, final question. You've been through my grilling, so I appreciate all your efforts. Will you be doing virtual events in the future? Why will you be doing them? And what are some of the things you're excited to test out?
Yes, we will be doing virtual events in the future. I think we always had event apps, but I think we probably will do a sort of hybrid offering even when we go back to in-person events.
Right.
That's our plan, and it's pretty straightforward for us to do it because we film everything anyway. So to live stream wouldn't be a problem.
And I think we'd be happy taking. I think we see hybrid as quite exciting, but maybe more just for the buzz. I'm not convinced it's going to be. We're not getting the same level of online delegate revenue as we did for a live event, and so I think hybrid might be a nice gimmick. It's probably not an amazing money spinner. Do you agree?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're really excited. I think we'd be quite excited. Well, to be honest, we're going to be really excited about being able to do a physical event one day.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are, and I wouldn't blame you. What then, in terms of the hybrid, then, are you thinking is the thought process that you can reach more of an audience still with that virtual part?
We do have people asking at our in-person events if we could. We have asked in the past if we could live stream so their members of their team who don't attend could watch. And I think we would do that. We probably wouldn't do the networking, but it means you could throw the polling out more widely. The questions could and probably also you could bring in speakers who can't make it. So it could work both ways. So you could have someone could have a video that could be, you could have a virtual event coming into a physical event.
We're also finding sponsors are getting much more comfortable with video ads. And some of our big companies like, Airbus and Embraer have always been really, and Bombardier have always had very good ones, but we're finding everyone else is raising their game. And I think also we're excited to see, the technology is improving all the time. I think it's going to be really interesting what's going on with, event tech in the next 6 months.
6 months time.
Even 3 months time, it could be, completely different.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Okay, that's it. That's it for me. I do have one question that came in from the audience for me, and it's most of SpotMe's clients from the US. Well, the honest answer is we have a whole global client base. It's probably 40% US based and 60% non-US, just to answer the question quite frankly and honestly. So no, not all of our clients are US based. And in fact, Alasdair and Louisa are based in the UK. So there we go, just as proof. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this week. It's been amazing to speak to you. It's always great to speak to actual customers and get some honest feedback. So thank you very much.
Cheers, Tom.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week, live or on demand, doesn't matter. We love you watching anyway. Contact us if you have any questions or ideas for the show. Thank you so much.